Hi. You might be asking, ow, fuck, why I'm a lot more, why I seem to be in a much smaller chair. It's because I'm not even sitting on a chair. I'm sitting on this thing. Because my brother refuses to let me have the chair. So I'll just use something. Anything is better than nothing. Now, on to reviewing the year of 2018. Off the top of my head, with no research whatsoever. January goes by, Trump is sworn into office, and Gabe the dog dies. Oh, and Logan Paul finally gets talked shit about for finding a dead body in the middle of a Japanese forest. And people to get their spaghettis touched, and people finally know D-Way. February comes around, no memes, and nothing eventful really happens. March comes around, and again, nothing happens really. Let's see. Let me do some impromptu research real quick. Nope, never mind that. Let me think of some shit that happened in March. Oh, something else happened in January too. The greatest podcast on earth, Deep Fat Fried, the god of podcasts, launches after the breakup of 2017 of Drunken Peasants. December of 2017, when the Drunken Peasants split up, and now we have the fuck heap that we do now that is remnants of the Drunken Peasants podcast, and the Deep Fat Fried podcast is awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. February is when the podcast starts to get ramped up big time and becomes one of the most successful patrons on Patreon. What a thing happens. Nothing really happened on February, and in March, nothing really happened for most of the year as much as I can remember. Until, KSI and Logan Paul started to do the boxing thing. That was the big meme of the day. And, I really need to look more into things I talk about before I talk about them. I can really only talk about the recent months. The Islamic New Year happened in September. The 11th of September. Of course it did. This isn't really in any order. This is just some recent stuff in the past few months. Black Friday happened. People kill each other, as is tradition. Donald Trump pulls out of Syria, or it says he will, and removes half the troops from Afghanistan, which we shouldn't be there in the first place, but, the occupation of Afghanistan next year will have the right to vote. So, until we bring everyone out and, stop the fucking stealing of minerals and get out of Iraq, too, and stop the stealing of oil and, just stay out of the Middle East, period. Saudi Arabian weapons deal, genocide in Yemen, that guy getting killed in an embassy by some Saudis, and they lie about it. Some guy called PewDiePie a Nazi on the Wall Street Journal. This is just me listing off a bit of shit that happened this year. and demonetization runs rampant. The adpocalypse happened a few years ago, and it really started to have its fallout. Speaking of fallout, we'll talk about that later a little bit. And in 2017, and this year, speaking of Fallout 76, one of the worst games ever created by Bethesda. Actually, no, the worst game ever created by Bethesda, or at least that's what everyone says about it. The collector's edition was basically a scam, as far as I know, and it's basically worse than the actual nukes that fall in the fucking Fallout games. Really fucked up there, didn't you, Bethesda? Christmas happened, as it did. Russia builds up a lot of military stuff on the Ukraine border, so expect Ukraine to be invaded in the middle of January, or if not sooner. Shootings left and right, but no one seems to report on them anywhere because some guy coming in and shooting 7 people is about as exciting as a trip to Pittsburgh. Yeah. The bombing of Syria, which I said they pulled our troops out of, and some 8 other countries, still continues. Peace is made with North Korea because an authoritarian dictatorship who suppresses all forms of dissent and sends people he doesn't like to literal death camps in Kim Jong-un. They got along pretty nice. Some Mexican kids are being sent to internment camps. Well, just pretty much just camps in Arizona, and ICE is doing that whole shit. Yeah, I guess so. And speaking of China, I didn't mention China earlier, but China just sent 1 million Uyghurs, which that is an actual word. It's a Muslim Turkish ethnic group, and some of them live in Western China. Yeah, the Chinese government just sent at least 1 million of them to re-education camps. That's a lot like the Ministry of Love now, isn't it? And is still cracking down on any form of political dissent on people's computers and stuff like that. Google is doing business with them too, just like every other person in the world and all that. Mumkey Jones, sort of big YouTuber, gets all of his channels deleted, and the one that he opened to start a new channel. Why? Because no idea. One of those strikes he got was from a private video with 0 views, so no one could have watched it. Not even Mumkey could have watched it, but that's it. Emperor Lemon, one of Mumkey's pals, made a video about it, and how people still keep calling PewDiePie a Nazi. And speaking of PewDiePie, T-Series and PewDiePie are still in the great subscriber war of 2018. The YouTube Rewind of 2018 quickly overcame Baby as the most disliked video in the history of YouTube. It took 7 years for Baby to achieve that same goal. It took 6 days for YouTube to do what Baby did in 7 years. They really, really blew it this time, didn't they? That is what you call a catastrophic failure. Count Dankula, Scottish YouTuber, gets arrested and has a fine of £800, which I don't know if that's in American bucks, but it's a fine £800 for teaching his pug dog how to do the Hitler salute and respond to the word gas the Jews. I would like to inform these people that the only kind of person that would get really offended at this are Nazis. So, yeah. There. That's about it. I could talk about what happened in my life, but it's really just sad, disappointing, and miserable. Just like me. Bye.